Gambia is about to host one of the major summit of the Islamic Ummah at a very crucial period with what is going on right now in the world, especially in Gaza. And here I would want to express my solidarity with the people of Palestine, with Gaza in particular. You know, the main purpose of establishing the OIC is to liberate Al-Quds al-Sharif. And today the Ummah is challenged with a very difficult situation, and we hope and pray that through dialogue we'll be able to resolve it once and for all and to have the two-state solutions. The Gambia is organizing the summit on behalf of the African group. So this is a major challenge, and it is the Gambia, after Senegal, will be the second African country to organize the OIC summit. You know, a summit of this magnitude requires a lot of preparation, and we've been engaged in that, and we've been closely working with the Secretariat in Saudi Arabia, the OIC Secretariat, and this is an opportunity to thank them for the support. The OTA team came to the Gambia to assess our level of preparedness. They had several missions, but today they are convinced that we are ready to host the summit. We had a lot of postponements due to various reasons, you know, but the fact of the matter is now we are ready to host the summit, and it requires a lot of preparation, as I said, and we've been also engaged as Foreign Ministry in mobilizing resources towards hosting this summit. We have traveled a lot with the Executive Secretary, the Chief Executive Officer of the OIC organizing committee responsible, Secretariat responsible for organizing the summit, and some countries have been very supportive. I will want to single out the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the Kingdom of Morocco, Senegal, Mauritania. They've been definitely very supportive. Turkey also helped us in training our security personnel. Indonesia in training our protocol officers. We've enjoyed tremendous support from many countries in the Ummah. But the fact of the matter is that Gambia is responsible for organizing the summit, and the President has pledged that we are committed to organizing a very successful summit, and he has given instruction for us to have a budget taken from the Gambia government budget to support the summit. Today, as he said, the top priority is to host a very successful summit in the Gambia. Well, when you see this, we are aligning ourselves with the UN, the SDGs, and the Africa 2063 agenda. Of course, Gambia and the Ummah is we are not an island. We live in a global village, and today more than ever before, we know that this world is one global village. If we have not learned any lesson from the COVID, from the coronavirus pandemic, we will not learn any lesson, because we face a situation where the whole world has to come as one to fight to combat the virus. The virus does not recognize borders, visas, passport. So our destinies, we live in a world where we are interrelated, interlinked, and what affects one directly affects all indirectly, some more directly than others. And that's why the team is in line with the SDGs, leaving no one behind. And through the Ummah, through solidarity, and we believe the Ummah has a lot of potential. I think if we pull our resources together, we'll be able to resolve many contradictions that some of the less fortunate members of the Ummah are facing today. So we hope that through dialogue, through knowing each other, and the fact of having the summit in Africa, you know, we are conscious of the fact that we cannot organize a summit like when the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is organizing, or Turkey is organizing. These are members of the Troika. These are big countries with a lot of resources. But with what we have, we'll make sure that we organize a successful summit. And you know me, I believe in one thing. Sekou Touré used to say that quand on n'a pas les moyens de sa politique, on pratique la politique de ses moyens. When you don't have the means of your policy, you practice the policy of your means. So what you have to be creative and innovative and organize based on your resources. So we'll make sure that the little we have, we share it with the whole world with generosity. You know, the summit is a very technical one, where most of the thing at this stage is determined with support and consent of the Secretariat in Jeddah. So we are not at liberty to come with all kinds of ideas, and during our tenure as chair of the OIC, then we can come up with ideas, with meetings where we can see how best the diaspora can be involved and see how best we can harness their potential. At this stage, though we have some former members of the diaspora, somehow all of us were at some point members of the diaspora are involved in the local organizing committees, and they are bringing in their expertise to make sure that we have a successful summit. All hands on deck. But we intend during our tenure, maybe we'll come up with a meeting where we'll see how best we can better harness the potential of the diaspora. You know, I am someone who really believes in the important role that the diaspora can play in our development process to help us leapfrog. If you see countries like Korea, even China with Deng Xiaoping, the diaspora played a key role in accelerating their development process. You know, I always say that when you travel, you come with more experience. And you have this Spanish thinker who said that viajar es una manera de hacernos sabios sin saberlo. When you travel, you become more knowledgeable without even yourself realizing it. So the much talked about African Renaissance that we are talking about cannot happen without the diaspora. The diaspora has a pride of place in this process. You know, this summit will put Gambia in the limelight. Already we enjoying tremendous support of the international community. In fact, you know, Gambia came to the limelight during the political impasse. You know, there was something negative, but it became very positive for the Gambia, and we were the kid on the block. But at the UN, we used to say that we have to keep the momentum. So this is another opportunity, because the OIC is a platform that will help us rebrand the Gambia. Gambia will be speaking on behalf of the member state of the OIC. Major decisions will be taken under the chairmanship of the Gambia. It's unfortunate, as I said, we have this very challenging situation, a historical moment where the Ummah has to unite to find a solution to the plight of our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And I think Gambia can play a key role in this, because we've proven to the world also that though being a small country, we are independent and non-aligned in our political orientation, and in some of the major conflicts we refused to take side, and we came up with our principle, and I think Gambia is being respected for that. And based on that respect, we'll make sure that we play the role that is expected of us as Gambia, as the country representing the African group also. And we know and we are convinced that we have the support of our brothers and sisters in Africa and the Ummah in general. I'm not a security expert, but I trust the security committee and the security heads of this country. They've been able to manage very difficult situations, and they've proven to be very efficient in their work. So in that aspect, I don't have any doubt that they will live up, I can even say, beyond expectation. We also have countries that have offered to support our security in many areas, because we know when you organize such summit, also you have some crazy people around who are bent on sabotaging or creating havoc. So we are well prepared for them, And it's not only the day of the summit, they've already started working since profiling, doing the necessary profiling of people entering, coming in and out of the country. Well, these are details that I do not master. The security heads will be better placed in a better position to talk about it. On the issue of accommodation, we were expecting to have a hotel finished by then, but let's remember that being chair of the OIC is also for 3 years. Maybe within that period, that hotel will be ready. But for the meantime, as I said, when you don't have the means of your policy, you practice the policy of your means. So they've been able to identify places where heads of state and delegation will be hosted. In terms of accommodation, I think the committee responsible for accommodation is on top of things. They visited many places, and I think we are in order. Actually, I say that the summit is the beginning of things, because the summit will be the moment where the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will hand over to the Gambia. And after taking the baton, that's when we will come up with our own ideas, our own perspective on how to not only strengthen the organization, but to bring the Ummah together. And bringing the Ummah together, we're talking about solidarity. As I said earlier, we are endowed with a lot of resources. And I think if we pull our resources together, there are a lot of challenges that we are having here and there that we will not have. And this has given us also an opportunity to know more about other countries who have a lot to offer, not only in terms of finances and others, but even in terms of transferring knowledge. It's a wonderful opportunity where we can learn from each other's best practice. Sometimes we go far away to look for something that we can have next door. And within the Ummah, I think there are a lot of opportunities that we can tap, we can share them with each other for the benefit of the Ummah, for the prosperity of the Ummah, for a very peaceful and prosperous world. So the summit is just the beginning of our work. Yeah. From the summit, then Gambia takes over, and that's where we need to be creative and innovative to have a chairmanship with a difference. We don't want to do things as they used to, business as usual. That will not, the status quo will not move us anywhere. If you use the same methods, there is no breakthrough that can be foreseen. So we count on all of you with your ideas. The media can play a key role with civil society organization to come up with ideas so that we can have a chairmanship with a difference. You know, I always tell people that when you are in diplomacy, you talk a lot, and you find yourself in a very funny position to talk about your success. But we are grateful to God Almighty. Gambian diplomacy has achieved a lot. I mean, this summit that we are organizing is as a result of a very active diplomacy. The OIC, the Sadauda Kairaba Jawara Conference Center, is a result of diplomacy. This building where we are having today the interview is a result of diplomacy. And we've been very active in many areas. You know, when you had the political transition in 2016, I mean, you have a new regime, and people needed to start with something. There were a lot of expectation, and you have to manage the expectation, but up to which period? And that's where diplomacy played a key role, because with the UN, we started with the UN, and they kick-started the whole process. And you've seen how this issue, that political impasse that could have led to a terrible bloodshed, was resolved through diplomacy. ECOWAS, the neighbor Senegal, Nigeria, of course, Ellen Salif Johnson, who was then the chair of the Authority of Heads of State of ECOWAS. You've seen people shuttling in and out, and we've been able to resolve it. And that's one of the most valuable things that we have, that is peace and stability. Without peace and stability, you cannot have summit, you cannot have development, you cannot have anything. You cannot also train your people to acquire knowledge, to be able to fulfill their dreams, to pursue their agenda. In practical, you've seen we had very successful presidential council with Senegal. We had joint commission with Morocco, and today Morocco is giving us 150 scholarships. That's huge, you know. And I always say that the most valuable resource we have in this country is our human resources, you know. You see, I always like to quote a country like Korea without basically any resources. But because they put emphasis on developing their human resource base today, a country that was at the same level with some African countries is now a developed country. So there is no fatality about underdevelopment. We can break the vicious circle of underdevelopment by training our people, building the capacity of our people, having discipline and believing in ourselves, occupying the driver's seat. So I think as far as we are concerned, our diplomacy will remain independent, as I said, putting emphasis on good neighborliness. That's key, because geography also dictates its laws to diplomacy. Yeah. So in that you have to be very creative in order to make sure that you have good rapport with your neighbors. Internationally also, Gambia today is a voice to be reckoned with, you know. As we speak, today, this month, Gambia is chairing the African Peace and Security Council on behalf of Nigeria, you know. So our turn also will come. So that's a huge sign of trust and confidence in the Gambia. And we are also, for the first time in our history, we are a member of the Human Rights Council in Geneva, and we've been re-elected to serve there. And we have Gambians also occupying many positions, like Commissioner of the African Commission for People's Human and People's Rights. This is all a result of diplomacy. We do quietly our work, but alhamdulillah, we've been very effective. I was personally invited, well, as foreign minister by the foreign minister of Russia, where Minister Lavrov gave Gambia also 50 scholarships. And many, we are grateful anyway. We are being consulted in many issues around the world. Some big powers will call us to tap our brain to know a little bit about what is obtained in our region. And we have very good rapport with all. Friends with all, enemies with none. But when it comes to speaking the truth and our mind, and based on principle, we will stand by our principle. We will not compromise that for anything. Well, I think for the Gambia, it's a great honor. It's a great honor to be shortlisted for this very important position and to be able to be given the opportunity to fill the big shoes of Baroness Patricia Scotland. I think the process itself is very interesting for me, and I hope to go up to the end. But for me, I always say, first and foremost is Gambia. Today, I've not been engaged in very active campaign because the priority is the OIC. That's a national issue. And we are working on that, but we've been also consulting. And my first battle is to have one candidate for Africa. That's very important. Africa should not go divided, because when you go divided, you create cracks, and others will come through the cracks. But I hope that with my sister from Ghana, my brother from Lesotho, at some point we'll strike a compromise and make sure that the interests of Africa comes first. Yeah. And heading the Commonwealth is a huge honor. It's, I think it's the second biggest organization. And I think it's an opportunity also to have a commonwealth with a difference, you know. Today the world is evolving. You cannot do things, business as usual is no longer the motto. If you see all what is happening around the world, you know that there is need to adapt to the realities of the day. Yeah, the Baroness has done a lot of great work. I don't believe in the theory of the disciple. I don't behave like the disciple of the master philosopher who will come destroy and build on the ruin. No, what you build on the gains and consolidate them and come also with your own ideas of not only reforming the organization, but making sure that we all have this sense of belonging, this sense of ownership, that we know that the Commonwealth belongs to all of us. It's a beautiful organization, and the beauty about it is that all the voices are respected. There is no one country that is dictating to others. And I think the re-election of Baroness Scotland is an illustration of the spirit of the Commonwealth, where no one dictates, we respect each other. And it's an organization where you have several countries. And I know that some countries told me that the day you become Secretary General, will join the Commonwealth. So that will make it automatically the largest organization after the UN. And the more flowers we have in the garden, the more beautiful the garden will be. You know, there is the African thinker who put emphasis on the diversity of cultures in Africa. But in the Commonwealth also, you have this variety and diversity of cultures. The more diverse, the more beautiful the organization will be. As I say, the beauty of the Persian tapestry comes from the variety and the diversity of the colors. So we count on your support, and we pray to God to do what is best for us and for the Commonwealth.